All right. Ooh. Hey, everybody. It is me, Angel Benton, and I want to first of all say thank you so much to those of you that have stuck with me after I took last week off. Where I was last week, I was in Orlando at Walt Disney World, and I had the best time. I went to 5 different theme parks. I ran few races. I actually did three. I did a 5K, a 10K, and a half marathon. And I came home and I was staying in paradise. It was perfect. Everything about the vacation was fantastic. So, having said all that, I was watching Dancing with the Stars and Strictly Come Dancing. So, I will definitely be giving you what's gone on in the past couple weeks with both of those shows. But before we even get into any of that, so, as you know, in America, there's a big election and there's a little bit of a controversy right now about voting. And the controversy is that people keep fucking voting for grocery store Joe. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand that at all. Here's the issue I have with that. I realize that people are saying, well, that's how the show is. This is my hotel room. I'm in Rohnert Park, California. So um, here's the thing. They say, Joe's my favorite. Joe's a sweetheart. I love Joe from Bachelor Nation, blah, 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 right? Which, already irritates me because I hate that show. Anyways, I get that he's a nice guy and you want him to come through. That's fine. But that would be like if I was like, if I was trying out for the Olympics in archery and I was the nicest guy in the competition, but no one else was that nice, but they were all way better than me in archery. That would be like giving me the gold medal, saying, well, you're a nice guy, so you get a gold medal. This is a dancing competition. You need to vote on how well these people are doing dancing. And I'm sure the judges are frustrated as fuck because every single week, he's not even in the bottom two, so there's nothing that can be done. I mean, the fans want him to win, or his fans want him to win. I wouldn't say all the fans, because if you go into any of the Dancing with the Stars groups on Facebook, people are so pissed. And they should be, because we have seen every single week really good people go home and he's still around. For example, we have when we started the show, the two people that tied at the top of the leaderboard, DeMarcus and Tinashe, they're both gone. Wow, okay. All right. So much for that. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So let's just go ahead and delve right into so first we'll start with Halloween night, because that was 2 weeks ago. So Halloween night, Milo and Whitney did a really cool contemporary routine to this kind of warped version of Toxic by Britney Spears. It wasn't by Britney Spears, it was by someone else, but it was her original song. That was cute. It was very good. It was very well done. John and Emma did a Paso Doble to Beetlejuice, to the main titles from Beetlejuice by Danny Elfman. DeMarcus and Lindsay did a salsa to Under Your Spell, which was really good. That was actually very well done. That was great also. Ivana and Keo did a tango to Disturbia from Rihanna. And they were scored relatively high. They still had a couple. They were scored relatively high, but at the same time, I mean, they were fine. They were fine. Yvonne and Keo were fine that week, on Halloween week. Then after that, it was Bobby and Sharna. They did an Argentine tango to Mr. Sandman. And believe it or not, Bobby actually he's learning how to rein it in. Now, this is what's interesting about all the different shows. So between Dancing with the Stars and Strictly Come Dancing, the way that the judging is going is sort of, it's different for both. So with Dancing with the Stars, because they're only on the air one night a week on Monday, they have to pretty much weigh, it has to be, I think it's 50% judges scores, 50% of the audience. So a lot of people are calling for the judges to have more power. Now in England, it's different because the audience, so basically the way it happens in England is yes, they're on Saturday and Sunday, but they film the Sunday night show on Saturday. So they shoot the Saturday show, they wait 3 hours where they have the vote, they tally up the vote, and then they go ahead and shoot the Sunday show. And when they shoot the Sunday show, they tell you who the bottom two are. And then the two couples have to dance off, and then the judges decide who they want to keep. So it's ultimately the judge's decision, but the audience picks which two the judges have to choose from. Which is, I think that that's okay. But that really wouldn't work in the United States just because we're only on the air on one night a week. Now, what's also interesting is the difference between Dancing with the Stars and Dancing with the Stars Juniors. Now, because Dancing with the Stars Juniors is taped, has already been completed a while ago, it's already been done. So you can't really vote at home, right? So what they did is they gave everyone in the audience a little, clicker that will tell you which one you want to vote for. You type in your vote, and then they just decide. Now, is that accurate? I don't know. I'm probably not the best person to to say if that is like the best idea. I'm not quite sure, but it definitely is one way to do things, But again, if I was a star, I would then try to pack the audience with as many of my people as possible so that I could stay in the competition. You know what I mean? Okay. So anyways, so I just think I find all this is the whole way that we vote and stuff is very fascinating, especially this time of year. Okay, so let's talk about Mary Lou and Sasha did a tango to the song Shame by Elle King. I was a little bit disappointed because I thought it was going to be Shame by Evelyn Champagne King, but it wasn't this Elle King, which is fine. I love Elle King. She's great. Alexis and Alan. Oh my God. Where do I begin with Alexis and Alan? I love me some Alan Burstyn. I have loved Alan Burstyn since he was in the troupe. Since season 2 of him being in the troupe. So I get, I get Alan. I understand. Oh God, but I really feel like the producers of the show are really trying to push this romance between Alexis and Alan. And the reason why is because people found out that she was a ballerina before she came on the show and wasn't super honest about it. And they kind of ripped her to shreds. So in order to kind of save her on the show, they hooked her up with Alan. So what happened, and that's just my opinion, I could be completely wrong, but what happened was in the Halloween week, she says, she sits Alan down, which is kind of, this whole thing, the fact that she's doing any of this in front of the cameras, again, is suspect. To me, it's suspect. It's a lot different than telling a sob story to the camera to try to get some sympathy votes than it is to try to confess your feelings for someone on camera in front of everyone. She's mic'd up, she's mic'd up, and they're like, okay, she's like, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. She's like, we have really good chemistry. He's like, yeah, I noticed that. And she's like, and I'm developing feelings for you. Now, in this Halloween episode, he was like, I really don't want to mess that up, so I just need some time, which I thought was fine. I thought that was okay. And they were at the bottom 2 in Halloween, but they didn't end up going home because they weren't the last. And then this week, well, we'll get into that in a minute. Joe and Jenna did an Argentine tango to El Tango de Roxanne, which, remember how I was talking about how when Graham and Odie on Strictly Come Dancing, they did Roxanne, they did a tango to that it was I thought it could have been better if they did it to El Tango de Roxanne because it's an actual tango as opposed to, the police. Well, wasn't the best example to show them. I mean, don't get me wrong. Joe is improving, but the level at which he's improving is so much below everybody else in the competition. I mean, even Bobby is improving more than Joe is at this point. And the judges are scoring going, how many times can the judges say you've got a really good heart? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times can they, and then give a low score, and then the audience doesn't matter because the audience keeps them. That's very frustrating. And if I definitely see if he wins this show over everyone that's on the show, I will be pissed just because it'll be like, well, obviously it doesn't matter then how good of a dancer you are. I mean, like, anyways. And then Juan Pablo and Cheryl did a jive to Dead Man's Party. And that was really good. That was really good. You know what? I've got to say, I have to, okay. So here's okay, so wait, so that was Halloween night. I'm jumping ahead of myself. That was Halloween night. Then there was last night was, not last night, 2 nights ago was country night. So here's the thing about country night. I've never seen them do it before, but it's fine. It's good. I love it, and obviously, Dancing with Stars airs on ABC in America, and ABC is also airing the Country Music Awards, or CMAs, which is interesting because that is a total uniquely American experience. Now, don't get me wrong, there are foreign country performers like Keith Urban, who's from Australia, or Shania Twain, who's from Canada, but for the most part, they're American, so it's an American genre because, Ivana was talking about how, I'm from Ireland. We don't have country music in Ireland. Keo was like, I'm from South Africa. We don't have country music in South Africa. So it's interesting to see that they chose the whole night to do country, but that's fine. I mean, I don't have any issues with that. I think that's totally fine. John and Emma started the show with a jazz dance to Thank God I'm a Country Boy. You know what that always reminds me of? That song reminds me of the Country Bear Jamboree. Do y'all remember the Country Bear Jamboree at Disneyland and Walt Disney World and Tokyo Disneyland? It's this audio animatronic show that they used to have at Disneyland. They don't have it anymore, but it's still at Tokyo Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And one of the songs that the Five Bear Rugs sings is Thank God I'm a Country Boy. So it's a John Denver song, but it's really cute though. Anyways. Just thought I would share. I really enjoy the Five Bear Rug is the name of the group that sings it in the Country Bear Jamboree. I miss the Country Bears. When I was in Florida, I went to see the Country Bears and I was like, oh, it was so sad because I love the Country Bears. Okay. So they did a jazz dance to that, and that was actually very good. And like John is another one who has progressed quite a bit since when he started, After that was Ivana and Keo, like I said, that they had no country experience, but or even frame of reference for country, but they did a rumba to a song called Every Little Thing by Carly Pierce. And it was fine. They loved the song. They did a great job. I mean, here's the thing about the rumba though. The rumba, to me, is all about fluidity, like, it's all, yes, you can, you kind of got to melt into every single move, right? And I felt like Keo did that, but I felt like Ivana was very staccato with her movements and very, you know what I mean? And because of that, I thought she was scored a little bit too high, but I was thinking this when the show was airing, I was thinking, is it possible that they literally are going to score every single other person high to make Grocery Store Joe that much lower? And even though I don't necessarily think that that's what happened, I definitely think that they scored enough people too high we'll see what happens next week when they let someone go. Because next week is when we'll see the votes of this week's vote. The results of this week's vote. We'll find out next week. Okay. Juan Pablo and Cheryl. they're doing a really good job. I mean, I've got to give it up to Mophead. She is doing a great job. I mean, she's fierce. I mean, I'm not saying she's not fierce. I've never once said she's not fierce. She is fierce. I mean, she's a 2-time champion, and she's incredible. And she's been on the show for like, what, 25 seasons? I mean, no, I think like 22. I think she's taken 5 seasons off throughout. But yeah, I mean, whatever. She's been on the show forever. 22 seasons, whatever, right? Okay. So they did a really good Charleston to a song by Hunter Hayes called One Shot. I wish that he would have been there to sing it. I love me some Hunter Hayes. I think he is so adorable. Okay. Oh, God. Joe and Jenna this time did another tango. So last week was an Argentine tango for Halloween. This week they did a regular tango to Burning Man by Dierks Bentley. And he was on that stage. Okay, and then Milo and Whitney, they did a foxtrot to Born to Love You, and they did a really good job too. Like Milo actually, so okay, so he did a really good job. He did great. And then after Milo was DeMarcus and Lindsay. They did a Viennese waltz to Tennessee Whiskey. Alexis and Alan did a samba to Ladies in the 90s. And right before they aired before they danced, they aired another clip where Alan admits that he's having feelings for Alexis as well. And then they kiss. Now, here's the thing. Yes, they kissed. But it was really just a peck on the lips as opposed to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I was like, okay. It just makes me wonder about the validity of this whole showmance. You know what I mean? Okay. So Bobby and Sharna did a Viennese waltz to Can't Help Falling in Love by Chris Jansen. I mean, who are the 2 worst dancers in the show? Probably Bobby and Grocery Store Joe. No, in fact, I know they are because of what happened later, and I'll tell you what happened later. But they're probably the worst. But Bobby is slightly better than Joe. But that's only slightly. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, whatever. And then what they did, and this is what happened, is they took the 2 lowest scoring people, which was over the whole competition, over all the episodes that I think all 7 episodes they had. The lowest scorer is Joe, Grocery Store Joe, and Bobby. So what they did is they made them team captains, and they had to pick their teams to do a group number. So Bobby picked Ivana and Keo, John and Emma, and Milo and Whitney, and they did a freestyle and to 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton. And that was actually really super cute. I'm not gonna lie. That was actually really well done. I really enjoyed that a lot. Their team was called Team Hey Now. And then Alexis, okay, so then Joe and Jenna chose Alexis and Alan, DeMarcus and Lindsay, and Juan Pablo and Cheryl. And they did a freestyle to Country Girl Shake It For Me by Luke Bryan, which you know I love that song too. The routine was not quite as good. And I felt bad for Juan Pablo, actually, because, okay, so here are my picks. I'm finally, because, you know, the difference between this and Strictly Come Dancing is that with Dancing with the Stars, there's a lot of really good dancers. And I don't mean people with dance experience before the show. I mean, at this point of the game, there's a lot of people that have really stepped up their game and are working really hard and are doing a really good job. So I don't know how they do the finals in England. I'm finding that out this year, but I know that for America, they usually have 4 couples, and they'll get rid of one on the last night, or the second to the last night. They'll get rid of the third one at the top of the very, very last show, and then it'll be just down to 2. But the 4 that I think will be in the top 4, or that I think it should be in the top 4, Milo and Whitney. In fact, I think Milo should win. I really do. I think he's doing a fantastic. But second place should definitely be Juan Pablo and Cheryl. They are. I mean, like, Juan Pablo is doing a really good job, and I'm enjoying seeing he's sort of, because he was a little bit uptight when he first started the show, and then he's kind of relaxed and let loose a little bit, and I think he's fantastic. I think he's fantastic. He's incredible. So I have no problem. I would love it if they came in second. I think they deserve to. They're great. I also think that Yvonne and Keo should make the finals as well. And the other ones, I guess it would be Alexis and Alan, but I hope they come in fourth. Like I mean, like I'm sorry. I'm just feeling very manipulated by their emotional manipulation. I'm just saying. But yeah, so at the end of the Halloween night, they voted off Mary Lou and Sasha. And then at the end of country night, they had a double elimination, and they voted off DeMarcus and Lindsay, as well as John and Emma. And it was really sad too, because John was talking in his piece about how he's in their tape piece before they shoot the show. They were talking about how, you know, he's going through this divorce that he's been going through for the past 4 years, and he's got 3 adult children that don't speak to him, and he's like, every week I look out in the crowd to hope that I would see someone there, and they're never there. And that was like so sad. And then it's like, oh well, you don't have to worry about that anymore because you're going home. I need a glass of tea. I'm getting a little parched. Oh God, that's so good. Okay. So that was Dancing with the Stars. We'll see next week. Next week is what is next week? Oh God, you know what's weird is that next week is the semifinals. But how many people do they have? They've got 1, 2, no, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm thinking if next week is the semifinals, then I definitely think that they got to do another double elimination so that they have 4 people for the finals. So yeah, they've got to. Oh gosh. Okay. Let's move on to Dancing with the Stars Juniors. Now this week, there was no Dancing with the Stars Juniors because they had a special instead where Mickey Mouse is his 90th birthday. So they had a whole bunch of people celebrating Mickey's 90th birthday. Now ABC is owned by Disney, so of course they're gonna, you know, air it, and that's fine. It was cute. I watched it. I was actually in Florida and I watched it, and it was really cute. But it was also really long, and it was a little bit boring towards the end, and I kind of fell asleep. Excuse me, about 3/4 of the way through. Sorry. Okay. So Dancing with the Stars Juniors, however, the week before, they did have a show. And this was Halloween night. And Akash and Camry, they did an Argentine tango to Weird Science by Oingo Boingo, which I love that song. I think it's fantastic. They were good. They were good. They were decent. Manla and Brighton did a Charleston to Witch Doctor. And then Mackenzie and Sage did a jive to Monster Mash, which was, it was cute. But, you know, Carrie Ann made a comment, not Carrie Ann, what's her name? Mandy Moore. Mandy Moore made a comment that, you know, she got the impression that they were just 2 soloists dancing as opposed to dancing as a unit. And I agree 100%. Like, yes, she was on this dance team, on Abby Lee's dance team, but really she was a soloist on the dance team, especially if she wants to be like her sister Maddie, who was definitely the soloist on the, it's like, you can't stick out like that. And especially when there's just 2 of you and your partners, you have to be on your game. You know, you gotta make it all look like one, as opposed to 2 people performing independently. You've got to look like one group performing together. So I kind of agree with what Mandy Moore was saying with that. Jason and Eliana did a fierce Argentine tango to Young Blood by 5 Seconds of Summer. And what was great about them, first of all, they are very tiny, but they are super cute. Like, I love Eliana. She's another one from Abby Lee's dance company, and she's fierce. Um, but I love Jason too. He does a really good job. And then there was Ariana and Artion, and they did a Paso Doble, Two Ways to Be Wicked from Descendants 2. Okay, I mean, I guess. I suppose. I never caught like the Descendants fever. I don't really understand it that much, and maybe that is where I'm showing my age, but I just don't get it. But, whatever. And then there was Honey Boo Boo and Tristan, and they did a jazz dance to Ghostbusters. Now, here's the thing about Honey Boo Boo, and this is also kind of tying back to what I was talking about with Bobby from Dancing with the Stars. Alana's actually not bad. She's actually not that bad of a dancer, but she gets so excited that she loses a little bit of control. And, while she does the correct movements, she does them all over the place. And so it's like you need to bring it in just a little bit. Just turn it down just a couple notches and you're fine. And that's actually a lot easier to do than to try to pull a performance out of someone. Grocery Store Joe, you know what I mean? And I feel like Bobby was the exact same way. Like, Bobby is a person who was like, I'm so excited to be here, I'm gonna do it, and I'm doing it, and they're like, okay, you need to chill out a little bit. Just take it down just a couple notches and you'll be fine. But, and then there was my favorites, who I think they should win, to be perfectly honest with you, Dancing with the Stars Juniors. Sky and JT, they did a jive to Little Shop of Horrors. So cute, so fierce. It was incredible. And then Miles and Riley did a samba to I Want Candy by Bow Wow Wow, which I thought for sure, because this was Dancing with the Stars Junior, I thought for sure that they would do I Want Candy by Aaron Carter. But instead they did I Want Candy by Bow Wow Wow, which was, I mean, it's the original version of the song, but I mean, I just thought Aaron Carter's was probably a little bit more closer to their own age, you know what I mean? At least he was when he performed that song. Okay, so they ended up sending home Honey Boo Boo. So, on one hand, I'm sad, but really, after they let go of what's his name, Hudson West, I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, like, who knows what these audience? I mean, like, because that's another drawback to having audience voting, because I definitely think that the two people that should be concerned moving forward are Mandla and Akash. Just because Mandla, he's one of those ones that I feel like you're having to pull a performance out of, which that's only going to last so long. And Akash is good, but he's very young, and he's very tiny. And I feel like we're reaching the point in the competition where things are starting to kind of get ahead of him, get a little bit too much for him, I think. That's just my opinion. But I will say, this week on Dancing with the Stars, both Jason and Akash were in the audience, and they're just adorable. They're adorable children. I think that Ariana and Artion and Sky and JT should definitely be the top two, for sure. Jason and Eliana, well, they also should be in the top three with their Argentine. And I guess I would probably say Miles and Riley. So those would be the top four. And I would, because that caveat goes out to Mackenzie and Sage, because it's like, you need to learn how to get your shit together. Now, some of that should fall on their coach, So let's see, who are their coaches? Let's see. I'm sorry. I've got my handy dandy Wikipedia page. Okay. So they're mentors. Got it. Okay. So We have Miles Brown, who was in Blackish. His mentor is Lindsay Arnold. Mackenzie Ziegler. Her her mentor is Gleb. Now, fans from both shows, Dancing with the Stars and Strictly Come Dancing, because Gleb has done both shows, they all are all familiar with Gleb. Now, Gleb, who he is really good looking. Like I was talking to my friend Cameron. I was like, okay, like I'm not even kidding you. Like he's distractingly good looking. Like he's like really like I remember that he was in the audience with Nikki Glazer, and she was like, "What do you do for a living?" And he's like, "I'm a dancer." I'm like, he could have easily said, "I'm an underwear model," and she would have believed it. I would have believed it because I mean, first of all, it's true, he is an underwear model, but I'll be like, because I would totally believe it. Um, but okay, so but having said that, he's never won a mirror ball on either coast, and you know he did a reality show recently where he had to like go to in England, and he had to go to a farm and like work with like chickens and goats, and I don't know, but he ended up winning that, and that's great, but that's like a solo thing. So I don't necessarily, and he's sort of kind of been he's kind of been not chastised, but he's definitely been, it's been, the comments have been made that he has never doesn't have enough connection with his partners. So now part of that, I'm sure, is, you know, he's married, I think, to a woman, and he doesn't want, he is, I think, and he's got 3 kids, I think. He's whatever. Regardless, he's not on the market. So he doesn't want to, you know, mislead anyone or anything. And I understand that. And I get that you don't want to do the whole Alan Burstyn fake romance with Alexis. I understand all of that. However, having said that, when you're out on that stage dancing, because you're not doing anything X-rated, you should be at least pretending to be into that person. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily know if he's going to be the one to really tell Mackenzie and Sage how to dance like a unit as opposed to dancing like 2 soloists. Let's see. So we have, what is Sky Brown? Okay. So here's another interesting thing. So Sky Brown and JT Church, their mentor is Alan Burstyn. I've got to give Alan credit. Here's the thing. This is kind of even taking away that whole crap about the relationship with Alexis and right. But I've got to say, this is on the dance floor. That on the dance floor. This is the Alan that I was expecting. Because let's be real. The last couple of times he's been partnered with people that were not that great, and he couldn't really get them. And I was surprised too, because his first season as a pro, because he was, first of all, he was in the troupe forever. He was in the troupe for such a long time. And he was so funny on the tour. If you ever get the chance to go to a Dancing with the Stars tour, you really should go see it, because he was so funny. And he did so well. And then they give him Debbie Gibson, which I was like, oh my God, Debbie Gibson, I'm so excited. You can watch, because I did a Sudsy recap when they did Debbie Gibson, and she was the second one to go. I was like, well, that sucks for Alan. That's really unfortunate. And then there was the athletes, and he did okay with them, but not great. And then now he's kicking ass on both shows, on Dancing with the Stars and Dancing with the Stars Juniors, because JT and Sky are killing the game. They're really doing so good. Ariana and Ardian, their mentor is Brandon, and super cute the way that their whole relationship between the 3 of them is super cute. Like, they just love to give him a hard time, and it's just so adorable. It really is. And then Jason and Eliana, they have another fierce mentor. Their mentor is Emma Slater. So now Emma, she won Dancing with the Stars with Rashad Jennings. That was like 3 seasons ago. So she knows about how to win. So I definitely think that they're ones that you should definitely look out for. Um, and then, so let's see, Ariana, Jason, Mandla, and Sky Brown. Yeah, not Mandla, not Mandla. Mandla. I mean that his um his mentor is Mophead, and I definitely think she's having a better luck on Dancing with the Stars than with Dancing with the Stars Junior. Ba, ba, ba. Oh, and then Miles, his mentor is Lindsay Arnold, and she's doing a decent job with him, you know. And then there's Akash and Mandla, and Akash, his Whitney is his mentor, but I just think that, you know, he's just young. He's got his whole life ahead of him. I think he'll do fine in the world, but I think that you know, I we'll see though. Who knows what could happen next week? They could be, and he could be the fiercest one of them all. And I will eat my words because I have been known to do that many times, especially when it comes to Dancing with the Stars. Because literally, like I get shit wrong all the time about my predictions. Like it's a joke. I mean, it's really like if I predict that you're going to win, you will most likely lose. So. I'm sorry, but I still think Sky and JT should win. I'm just saying. Okay. So now we're going to hop over the pond and we're going to go to England for Strictly Come Dancing. So Strictly Come Dancing. Now, what's interesting is that they did have a Halloween themed show. And so here's the Halloween themed show shook out. We had Graham and Odie. They did a cha-cha-cha to Thriller by Michael Jackson. They were okay. Stacy and Kevin. Oh, man. So, Stacy Dooley. She is someone, no previous dance experience. She comes on the show, and already people are like, what is going on with her? Because they had her do a quick step week 1, which in England, that's never done. This is the first time in the series of Strictly Come Dancing that they've ever had anyone do a quick step on week 1. So they did the quick step. She did a really good job. And every week she's gotten better and better and better. Her dance partner is Kevin Clifton, who's super cute. Like he's probably the most adorable guy in all of Strictly Come Dancing. I know there's going to be all kinds of crazy people out there that talk about, oh, what about Pasha? Or, oh, what about, what's his name? Aliash. Or what about Giovanni? And, you know, they're all good looking, but Kevin is just, there's something about his personality that is so damn cute. And I'm a big reader of personality. Like I would rather someone have a decent body and a fantastic personality than someone with 8-pack abs and be a dick. You know what I mean? Bye. You know what I'm saying? Bye, Felicia. So, okay. But so this week, Stacy and Kevin, they did an incredible, I mean, it might be my favorite dance of the entire show this far. And don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to do any hating on Faye and Giovanni because we all know that Faye is the reason why I'm even watching this show, right? Faye is the reason why I jump through hoops every Saturday and Sunday to try to watch this show because it does not air here in the United States. I have to get creative with my internet trickery to try to watch it live. But Faye and, so what happened is, they did this. So Faye and Giovanni are doing great, but the best dance has got to be this tango between Kevin and Stacy, and it was to the Doctor Who theme song, and they were dressed up because it was Halloween. She was dressed up like Doctor Who, which is currently being played by a woman, Jodie Whittaker, and he was dressed up like a Cyberman. But what was interesting was that it was kind of like a gender-bent version of Maria the robot from the movie Metropolis. I know it's kind of like it's a weird random. It's a weird reference point, and it's weird. It's very random. But if you ever see there's an old. It's a silent movie. That's how old this movie is. It's from like the 20s, and it's called Metropolis. It's by Fritz Lang. He was the director, and it tells the story of this big city, and they're creating this robot. And the robot looks just like this woman that lives underneath the city with all the like poor people. It's a really interesting story, and they made a musical about it actually. And the music, Judy Kuhn starred in it. Oh my God, she's so good. I fucking love Judy Kuhn. Where has she been? I love her. Let's bring her back. I really love her. She's fantastic. But yeah, so and they actually ended up putting music to the. They did a whole soundtrack. Giorgio Moroder did a soundtrack to the movie with like random people like Queen or Bonnie Tyler. They had a whole bunch of random people, and it was actually not that bad. Actually, it was pretty decent. But anyways, Kevin and Stacy look like a gender bent Doctor Who and Maria. You know what I mean? Because most of the time people associate Doctor Who with being a man, and Maria was gender bent to be Kevin. And what they did, this is what made their routine so fierce. They were doing a tango. Now he's a Cyberman, so he was very much a Cyberman. He did such a good job. But there were some periods where they would swap from him leading to having her lead, and that was just incredible. Incredible. Fucking incredible. I loved it. I was there for it. I was like, they got one of my votes actually that week. I voted 2 times. I voted 3 times. 2 times for Faye and 1 time for Kevin and Stacy, because they're incredible. Okay, so anyway, so then there was Dr. Ronj and Jeanette did a jive to Monster Mash, and he was a monster, but he was this monster that was like, he's got this. Okay, so I don't know what, I mean, like, he looked ridiculous. There's no other way to say it. He looked ridiculous. I'm sure he was like thrilled to be there, but he looked ridiculous. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now. They did fine on the jive, 4 5s, 20, but they were okay. Kate and Aliash did a Roomba to Skin, and it was interesting because they were dressed as these like ice people, ice statues. But a Roomba, this is something that the judges actually all said. They were like, the Roomba should be liquid and flowing and warm, you know, as opposed to cold and staccato, you know, because that's kind of how they did it. So although the dance choreography was done, like all the moves were done correctly, it's interesting. It's interesting. Anyways, Danny and Amy did an American Smooth to Spirit in the Sky, and it was cute. It was cute. I mean, Danny, I've got to give Danny a lot of credit. Do I think he'll be in the top 4? No. But do I think he'll come in 5th? Yes. I do. I think he'll definitely come in 5th because he is doing a great job. Just every now and then, he's just made a couple mistakes, and not so much on this Halloween week show, but in last week's show, he made a couple mistakes that were like, okay, those are kind of not necessarily going to be they're not necessarily good, winner's choices that they would make, right? Of course, Ashley and Pasha did an amazing Charleston to Witch Doctor. I'm kind of getting bored of seeing them, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, I'm kind of getting sick of Ashley and Pasha, to be perfectly honest with you. I really am. Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. anyways. Sean and Katya did a Viennese waltz to I Put a Spell on You, and it was okay. It was just okay. And then Charles and Karen did a jive to Time Warp, and that was super cute. That was really well done, actually. Faye and Giovanni, oh my God, they did a theater jazz routine to Fever, Peggy Lee. Oh my God, it was really good too. Now, don't get me wrong. I know I went off on how much I love Stacey and Kevin's number, and I did, but this number came close from Faye and Giovanni. Like, it was pretty fucking fierce. Like, it was, I mean, again, Craig with his 9 paddle. Okay, they would have gotten a 40 if he'd have given them a 10, but all the other 3 gave them 10, but he gave them a 9. And, you know, here's the thing. I know my friend Stephanie's like, God, I hate Craig in that 9 paddle. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, but if you think about it, the way that he is with the 9 paddle, it's like, okay, well, then when he does give a 10, it must be that much more, because you know he doesn't give them out that often, so it must mean that much more to people when they win it. But yeah, they did an incredible theater jazz routine. It was so good. Joe and Diane did a foxtrot, also to Youngblood by 5 Seconds of Summer. And then Lauren and AJ, and they were fine. They did good. And then Lauren and AJ did a Paso Doble to Poison by Nicole Scherzinger, and she was dressed like the Wicked Queen, and he was the huntsman. That was actually really cool. I think they gave him extensions. It was that was a little strange, but okay, he was all right. The bottom 2 were Graham and Odie, and Sean and Katya. And finally, Sean went home. Because let's be real, he really needed to go home. So then week 7, last week, so Lauren and AJ started off the show with a jive to Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne. They've got their highest score that they've ever received so far. They got a 31, which is a 7 3/8. And of course, that's Craig with the 7. Graham and Odie did a waltz to The Last Waltz by Engelbert Humperdinck, and they did fine. They were okay. They got a 29. Kate and Aliash did an Argentine tango to Assassin's Tango by John Powell, and I feel like Kate was really good at the beginning of the competition, and the competition is slowly getting away from her. Like, it's kind of like when you're running a marathon, and you're running and you're doing your best to kind of pace yourself and keep up, but there reaches a point where you're like, okay, I've got to slow down or I'm not going to make it. And then you don't end up meeting your goal time or the time that you were paced to go through for like the first few checkpoints. So I get it. And there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to accept that you're not going to win and then keep going, right? But you know, things have happened, and as opposed to being like this, it might be like this, you know, and she might, you know, start off bad and then start off great and then not be that great and then be great again, you know, who knows? But, it was okay. Dr. Ranjan Jeanette did a samba to Freedom 90 by George Michael. And that's not the Wham version that I don't want your freedom. No, this was the one that they had the model super lip syncing to. Yeah, so they did that. That was cute, actually. And I've got to give Dr. Ranjan a little bit of credit because he totally got the samba with the way that, you know, the bouncing and he did a really good job with that. Let's see. And you know what? And what's his name? Len on Dancing with the Stars. Who was it that did the samba this past week? No one did. Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, Alexis and Alan. Okay, so they did this move called the samba rolls, where they basically do this, and they're spinning around in a circle, and they're doing it, and they do a really good job of it. And Len was like, that is exactly what I like to see, which I've only been a viewer, and I've been a viewer since like season 11, right? But I could have told you that, yeah, Len is really big on the samba rules. So haven't really seen any of that yet from anyone, but yeah. But Dr. Ranj and Jeanette did a really good job. Stacy and Kevin, okay, they did a street dance, and this was great. They might as well have just called it a freestyle though, because there was moments, because they did Empire State of Mind by Alicia Keys, and it was great. Don't get me wrong, it was incredible, and it had its street slash commercial hip hop moments, but there were moments that were very contemporary as well. So because it was sort of like a fusion of those two styles, I think it really should have been more of a freestyle. But I don't even know if they even do a freestyle in London. Do they even do a freestyle in England? I don't know. I'll find out soon, I guess. Okay, so then we've got Danny and Amy. They did a quick step to freedom. And this is a different freedom. This is a freedom by Pharrell Williams. And he messed up his feet a little bit, and it's like, ooh, okay. Ashley and Pasha, of course, did an incredible foxtrot to Orange Colored Sky by Natalie Cole, and 39 again. Faye and Giovanni did a fierce tango to Call Me from Blondie. So good. But this is where, again, Craig busted out his 9 paddle. Because there was a cube that was on stage, and they danced in the cube a little bit, and then they went out of the cube, and then they did the routine. And he was like, if you're going to be in a cube, you need to kind of make us feel like you're trapped in the cube, and there wasn't really any acknowledgement to you even being in a cube. So I don't necessarily know that I would have taken points off for that, because A, I doubt that Faye had anything to do with that, and B, I mean, you can make the comment, but I don't think I would have taken off from the score. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a little bit petty, but that's just me. But Shirley actually had, which I English people don't like Shirley Ballas. She's a fucking legend. I don't get it. I do not get it at all. And she gives really good critiques, and she was giving some critiques to Faye, and she was like, what's interesting, because you are a really good dancer, we hold you at a higher standard. And so one of the things that you sort of need to separate is when you first learn regular dancing, turnout is obviously very important. But in the Argentine tango, it's technically parallel, but it's almost a little bit turned in. So, it's those types of things, and that's why she didn't get a perfect score, because she was turned out the whole time. But, 38 is not that bad. Charles and Karen did a Viennese waltz to Piano Man. I fucking hate that song. I hate that song so much. Ugh. God, it's just annoying. I mean, I love me some Billy Joel. I just hate that song. I hate it. And then Joe and Diane did a Paso Doble to Pompeii by Bastille. So here's the thing. Here are my picks. Well, okay, so then the bottom two were Dr. Ranj and Charles and Karen again. And they saved Charles and Karen and sent Dr. Ranj home. But TikTok, Charles and Karen, I'm telling you, TikTok. Because they've been in the bottom two, like, 3 times? I'm just saying. Winter's coming. So I think here's my picks for the top 4 in England. And this is actually much easier to do than Dancing with the Stars or Dancing with the Stars Junior. So I definitely think the top 4 will be Faye and Giovanni, Ashley and Pasha, Stacy and Kevin, and Joe and Diane. Now, do I think that Joe deserves to be in the top 4? I don't know, but I definitely know that he's one of those grocery store Joes where Oh my God, they're both named Joe too. I didn't even think, how funny is that? Joe Sugg and Joe Amabile. Ah, it's so funny. Anyways, he's got the rabid online following. So, you know, the difference between the two of them is that Joe Sugg is actually doing a very good job of keeping up with the show, whereas Joe Amabile is not. And that's why people are having issues with the voting, because they feel like, what the fuck? Like, really? Whereas in England, people can't really complain too much about Joe because he's really stepping it up every single week. So it's like, okay, all right. Um, Anyways, that's it. Next week will be week number 8. It's the semifinals in America. I don't know what it is in England. I don't know how many weeks the show goes in England, but it only goes like 10 weeks in America. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Angel Benton. You can, oh my God, if you followed me on Instagram last week when I was in Florida, ooh, I took my Instagram with me when I did drinking around the world, and it was pretty fun. It was great. The only problem was that I just didn't have enough time in the day to get more drinks in, because I literally had like what? I had like 18 drinks that day, and I was like not even drunk. I wasn't even close to being buzzed. I was like, okay. Anyways, thank you so much for logging on today. I will see you next week for Dancing for Relevancy. I do appreciate it. Have a great day. Peace out, and wubba, wubba, wubba.